And that's what I'm saying.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Oh,
Water cooler. We're talking about sinking into the sunset.
That's next week. Wait, 2 weeks? No, next week for sure. What was the title of the topic?
It's a sinking into the sunset.
That sounds about right.
See, this works better when we have an intro and can mute say.
No.
And Jason can get out what he needs to say, and then we can just let Say do her thing.
Okay, you do it, and I'll just do my normal like.
Hey, we've got a guest today.
We have a guest today. Yep. How's
Hi,
it going,
Mark.
Mark?
It's going great. Let's talk about Say.
Let's talk about Say, baby. Let's talk about me.
And me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things.
Elon Musk does. Let's talk about. No, wait. What? Okay.
What are we talking about today, Jason? Get us on track.
So yeah, sure. So
we are what is called off the rails.
Yes.
It's not Ruby.
So on one of Mark's many websites, they posted a banner up on the top saying that they're essentially sunsetting their product of WP SiteSync. And so we saw some stuff in the WordPress news and of that going on. We know who Mark is, and we've had Mark on the show. We've
Oh, jeez! Wow, I'm glad you know who
I know of Mark.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Familiar.
Steve's not allowed to be like 300 feet away from Mark, so on the internet it works just fine. So
the restraining order has been lifted. So yeah.
So we thought we'd have Mark come on and talk a little bit about how he approached the idea of sunsetting his product, and like what are they going to do with it? How are they going to get it involved in something else that they do? Like what's going on over there? So we thought we'd bring Mark on to get the exclusive.
The word you're looking for is what's up.
So what's up, Mark?
So what's up?
Walk us through this.
I mean, not if you say so what's up, like kind of like Uncle Jams. Like, so what's up? I'm making memes now. Thanks.
Well, that's
so. How'd you guys approach this, Mark?
Very as delicately as we possibly could, and
with two
probably. What's that?
With two 10-foot poles.
With two 10-foot poles. To be honest, there was probably a little while where it was. We could sense it was kind of becoming the elephant in the room that we didn't want to talk about, because. Alrighty then.
So what was that, Mark? Explain a little more about that.
So
we like to do our show on challenge mode. So there's a side chat that you have to both absorb and ignore at the same time.
Keep going, Mark.
Pay no attention to the things you
Mark,
says.
Mark has the floor.
So where was I?
You were in the sunset. Ignoring an elephant.
Just so people know, there's a private chat going on here, and
there is not.
There are people writing things to me.
No idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. Just Mark, you've got the floor.
I'm not going to mention any names like Steve or anything like that, but or Say, who apparently stands with Ukraine, by the way.
That is a secret chat.
It took us 3 minutes.
I signed no non-disclosure agreements. I signed nothing.
Oh, he's blowing us open, y'all.
Wow. All right. So I'm going to let y'all know the secrets behind WP Watercooler because we're having an awkward conversation here. So
all right.
So that's my password. So, just so you know, Mark, don't say that on the air, okay?
Mark, you're so just like direct and upfront. I love that about you. I always have. I think you're hilarious.
So let's go about it this way instead, Mark. So
okay.
So you have
ask me pointed questions that I can answer
so
in an indirect way as much as possible. Sure.
So you have a company called ServerPress. It makes a software called Desktop Server. Yeah. And you also make another product called WP SiteSync, which I absolutely loved. I used it on a bunch of stuff. I thought it was just a great piece of software.
Same.
And
not only are we proponents of the Desktop Server SiteSync family, we're also clients.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
So
thanks.
because of that, we wanted to have you come on and actually talk about this. You have
Yeah,
sponsored
so
the show in the
and I-
past. We've talked about the various products that you guys put out, but now that you're putting a banner on your website saying, "Hey, we're not gonna sell this thing anymore, and we're open
Wait, but
sourcing the whole thing."
Let's be clear. This is one product in the suite, right? This is
correct. Yeah,
you're not
okay.
sunsetting desktop server or
No,
yeah,
that is absolutely correct, and I did want to say that. Also, I should point out that it is not my company. There are several of us involved in the company,
We get it.
and they are all terrific people. So,
Yes.
So this was a discussion that we had.
Except for Greg, right? Except for Greg.
Well, Greg is the backbone of the company. That's the truth of the matter. So, it was a difficult conversation for us to have because there were several things that went into the conversation. One was the first part of it was that it became a very difficult product to support, and it wasn't because it didn't work as much as we found ourselves constantly scrambling to keep it working.
And when you say scrambling to keep it working, you mean, I'm assuming, please clarify, because of WordPress, changing WordPress core.
Actually, it wasn't so much WordPress core. We always would get plenty of notice with WordPress core. And the core of WPSiteSync works beautifully and still does. I mean, you can still get it off of the repo and it still does what it's supposed to do. The real issue became with our premium extensions, which is, of course, if you're going to monetize something, the model we went with was to monetize our premium extensions. Well, when you have extensions that are specific to WooCommerce, or you have extensions that are specific to advanced custom fields or Beaver Builder or whatever.
WooCommerce is really a clean, non-complicated.
And they never do updates. And they never ever do updates.
Yeah. So I don't know if you could really
you forgot well documented.
Yeah.
And well documented. Yeah.
It's not confusing at all.
Yeah. And somehow or another, I was told I'm supposed to bring up contact form 7, although we don't have it.
We don't say those words on this show. We don't.
Oh. No, see, once again, nobody told me that.
It was in the NDA.
There was no NDA.
You check your packet, man. There's a PDF.
You packet.
Yeah,
you gotta read the packet.
Yeah, well,
Mark's packet got lost in the mail.
I didn't get the packet, and you had me on the show for a packet that I didn't sign. So even if I didn't get the packet, I didn't sign it. So
I'm following along. The premium add-ons.
The premium add-on. Thanks, Steve, for that rare moment where you're bringing focus to the conversation. Appreciate that.
Right back around.
Talking about the backbone.
Yeah.
Secret backbones right here.
Yeah.
Or over there.
Anyway, it became more and more difficult because what we would find is that an update would come out for one of these products that we have nothing to do with, other than that we create an extension that works for syncing that particular product. And all they would have to do is change one thing in how it wrote to the database, or add a field in the database or whatever. And we would suddenly find ourselves with an extension that didn't work, and then we'd be spending our production time working on that rather than moving forward with new extensions and et cetera. So it's one of those things that I kind of feel like it was a fantastic idea. It still is a fantastic idea. It was kind of the closest thing I feel in the industry that's come to being that holy grail of being able to synchronize your content between two sites. And it did it, fairly successfully, but it was a fairly niche product. And we didn't quite get, the second thing that went into it was we didn't quite get as much traction as we wanted. And so after a lot of conversation, we thought, this is kind of impacting our ability to move desktop server forward because we're constantly pulling our resources, and this was both customer service resources and development resources. And so we thought, there's still more to do here, but we can't be the ones to do it because we have other workflow tools that we want to use. Now, having said that, we plan to take some of the functionality with WPSiteSync and are working on ways to integrate it in other ways within desktop server down the road. Yeah. So that was kind of the thought process. And then we went through a thought process. Okay, how do we break this to our customers? Because as most of you know, ServerPress is a company that is very focused. We're customer service centric. It's very much about taking care of our customers. And so sometimes I think that actually might, I don't know how to say this without it sounding, bad, but sometimes that might get in the way of making a decision that maybe you should have made earlier. In this particular case, we probably, looking at it in retrospect, maybe should have looked at winding down WPSiteSync a little bit earlier, but we didn't want to let our customer base down that did use it. And so as a result,
should have in terms of finances, or should have just in terms of it was ready to go earlier and you just didn't want to kind of deal with that?
Probably a little bit of a combination of both. I think one of the things that you have to do in business in order to be successful is you have to, kind of see the writing on the wall for things. And in this particular case, while everything functioned as it should, by and large, the writing on the wall probably, indicated that we might have been a little bit, we may have put it off a little bit longer. I wouldn't say a lot longer, just a tad bit longer, which is why the next thing was, okay, who are we going to refund on this? And so we decided, okay, we're going to refund anybody who's been, who within the last 30 days, paid for the premium membership bundle and all of that. And then we released it out to the interwebs. Open source. It's open. It was always open source, but it's on GitHub. All the premium extensions are out there. We have actually had a few people. What's that?
Well, I really want to talk about that more.
Okay.
That decision, or get into that. I don't want to just gloss over that because I feel like that is one. You have to have that conversation. What do we do with this code, right?
Right.
But by turning it out into a public repository, you are making it so you're not, that really is, I guess, in line with your customer-centric ethos, because you are not taking anything away from the people who are using it right now. You're just not giving them anything new, but you're still allowing them to keep functioning, and they can take it and whatever.
It's a true sunset. You're not developing anymore, right? But you're not cutting anybody off. We can all still go and grab the code and use what's there. And if we have developers, we can change it as needed if things break. And we've got the opportunity to do that, right? So you're not cutting anybody off, right?
And to the credit of the community, we've had a couple of people actually email us and ask us for permission to fork the code or do whatever.
Awesome.
And I thought, when we got that first email that requested, I thought, well, that's kind of a classy thing to do, to actually ask us for permission to work on something that's, on a public repository. That at least showed, a certain degree of respect for the amount of work and effort that has gone into it thus far. And so to those who have actually emailed us and asked for permission, I really appreciated that, and so did the rest of the team.
Since you own these repositories, are you going to allow people to submit pull requests if they've got changes, or are they just there?
That is such a technical question. I don't even know what that means. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, what you've done is you've basically turned the code over to the community for everyone to be able to maintain, which is awesome.
Right. Yeah.
But
and that's a good question. Yes.
Yeah, but there is still maintenance required in that if someone sends some improvements or whatever along, taking care of that and actually, merging the pull requests that people bring in to you like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I have had a few projects just working elsewhere be sunsetted and released into open source. And in a lot of cases, it's like you're just taking something, putting it on an iceberg, kicking it off with your foot and saying, well, I'm done here.
Yeah.
The hand, this is really it.
Yeah.
But you could, somebody could adopt this. Right. Somebody could adopt it.
And to that end, Jason, you bring up a really good point, which is that while we have sunsetted it, we have quote unquote officially stopped support on it. The reality is we have customers, insofar as what we can do, we are still supporting our customers who have paid for it. So if they email us and say, hey, I'm behind a firewall and, this isn't working, et cetera, we're not going to turn them away. If we can help them with it, we absolutely will, because once again, our focus always has been and always will be the customer. I mean, that's just the way that we think. So you can't build a business without having, without realizing where that business is coming from. So,
well, and I think the struggle that you're talking about is really a struggle about your values, right? I can speak firsthand experience that your company is definitely customer focused. I've experienced it myself, right? And so your value is how do we place the customer first always, but we have a financial decision to make, right? That's right. I think that was your struggle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, let's be serious. We have desktop server, which is our flagship product.
Yeah.
It is in need of some updating. Well, that is our larger customer base. It is has always been,
and you only have limited resources.
Right, exactly. And there's always, and then you have the consideration of, well, do we bring on more developers? Do we do this? Do we do that? But then you have to bring them, you have to onboard them, and you have to train them, and you have to teach them what the code is. And you
have to pay for them.
And you have to, let's not forget the money part. The money part. Yeah, exactly.
You're just taking a page out of Matt Mullenweg's book here. You're like, we're just going to put this code over here on GitHub. And we happen to be using it.
Business guy on the water cooler, blame me. But yeah, I get it.
So
no, I think this is what you've done with I think this is indicative of a community open source kind of WordPress way of doing something that is not in these, like if this was a what's it, like a closed source product, right? Or part of that closed source community or whatever, you just be like, all right, well, on May 31st, we're just turning it off. You know what I mean? Like, move your stuff, find a solution. May 31st, we don't talk to you about it anymore. And that's what happened. Like,
you mean like Google or something like that?
Like literally so many things.
And frankly, And frankly, I feel that ServerPress is in the minority, right? This is not how most companies operate.
Definitely not most companies in the tech sphere. I would say not even all companies in the WordPress sphere, though I do think that this is the proper or the more community oriented way. And so that is a big part of what ServerPress, you've not just sponsored here, but I was actually just showing these dudes on our text chat. I broke my toddler did, but she broke my ServerPress mug or glass today that I've had for I don't know.
Pint glass?
My pint glass.
That's actually really why we had you on, is Say needs a new pint glass.
We need a glass, so we got to it 20 minutes in. Did you send one?
So you never got one of the silicone
No, because I ditched all of WordCamp Orange County for a good 5 years. But
those were great because you could throw those against the wall.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you got some swag stock, so send that on over. Hey, do you have any WP SiteSync stock swag you need to get rid of?
Hey, those are now collectibles.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I'm selling them on eBay. They're the stickers, but they're $25 a piece. So.
oh my god! I just had this whole like flash in my head about a whole like post-market WordPress swag. Like,
Mhm.
I think someone. Oh yeah, the guy who used to be on the show.
I think
He made it.
I think if you
or something, right?
I think if you open that marketplace, say you're going to be 100 air.
I'll be 100. I have a better idea for a marketplace, but I'm not going to discuss it here. As far as a WordPress marketplace, I have a fantastic idea for a WordPress marketplace, but
Ooh, post-show combo.
but it may be offensive to some. So.
We talk a lot about marketplaces here. We've discussed some plugin marketplaces and theme marketplaces and
the stolen plugin marketplaces,
and GitHub as a marketplace of sorts. We haven't talked about that, but I've been thinking about it. So
I was going to say, speaking of nulled plugin marketplaces, Mark, I feel like you maybe should be getting a thank you note or a gift basket from one of the nulled marketplaces, because I mean, you just made SiteSync free. You nulled it for them. They don't have to worry about unhooking any licensing or anything. Like, now they can just offer it for free as part of their thing. So, I mean,
is that one of the takeover peoples?
Right.
Like the takeover plugin.
Well, you're all welcome.
The secondary plugin marketplace.
This is kind of one of those like teachable moments kind of things where like the community can like look into this and say like, how did these guys approach this problem that they had, which was I have this product that I'm no longer going to be supporting, and I need to now put it out there and put it into the wild and be like, okay, here we go. I'm kind of washing my hands of it. Like, how would you explain like the approach that you took in order to do this to someone who is also thinking about maybe no longer wanting to support their product? Like, what were some of those like key moments in this like decision making?
I was gonna say.
Well, I mean,
run now.
Because honestly, to tell you the truth, like looking on Twitter, looking on Facebook, and the places where people were talking about how this was actually happening, I think that you guys did this in such a like graceful way of your approach. I'm just curious, like, what were some of the things that you could have done that you didn't, and why did you make those decisions?
Certainly we could have just shut it down and said, you know what, too bad. That's, in my opinion, the worst case scenario. I always feel our approach is always, how do you take this really crappy sort of situation and create the most goodwill for the community you're trying to support? I mean, that's really what it boils down to. That's
kind of what like all of life boils down to. I'm not going to get it too like woohoo, but like, take this kind of crappy situation that we all get and make the best of it for ourselves and those around us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's certainly true. That's certainly true if you care about those around you. I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, because you could have made this decision just for ServerPress. You don't put it in GitHub. Don't worry about it. Just like I said, just like cut it off.
Deal with the 2 weeks of bad press it would have gotten us, and then been done with it. Because the reality is, we live in a world where things are forgotten in a week or two. I mean, how many companies in the last 10 years in the WordPress world have gone from, we offer lifetime licenses to, this isn't something that's going to work for us, right? And yet, all of them. Literally all of them, but we've all forgotten about it, right? And life goes on.
No, because I use my WP all import unlimited lifetime license from 2016, like all the time.
The unlimited licenses, the lifetime licenses are for the lifetime of the offer of unlimited licenses.
Yeah. I mean, it's
As long as we offer this, it is offered.
Well, I could tell you when I was younger, and I remember like the old Die Hard battery commercials or whatever, where they said, lifetime offer, and I was like 9 years old, and I'm like, lifetime of what? The battery? I mean, what does that mean? So
Mark's got like the battery running in his garage. He's been moving it through college. and like through like all your different
exactly.
hackers.
Okay.
Like,
I'm just
I
waiting
will
for
prove
that
you
day I
wrong.
can go to Sears and say,
Mark-
I want my
Mark-
money
Mark-
back on this diehard battery.
Mark's bought one battery in his whole life.
Yeah, exactly. And
Sears
it's
is
been
out
in
of
all my
business.
cars. I had bought
Yeah.
my car based on the fact that
Actually-
that battery will fit in it.
I was gonna say, if it's for the lifetime of the company, you're hosed, because Sears is gone. So
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm surprised. There is a Sears in Concord, California. I walked through it the other day. I'm like, oh my goodness. This
What?
place
There's
is
a
still
Sears
there.
here where I live too.
That's
Yeah.
like the
What?
Blockbuster. That's like
Yeah.
the remaining Blockbuster
Yeah.
in Washington State or
Yeah.
something. Like, what are we even
it
doing?
finally closed.
Well,
that
the only thing is, but the thing is, I was disappointed because I couldn't
they
find
open source
touchskins in
it?
my size. So
Sorry.
So
Like, 2 jokes at once. It's like too much. It's like we
This
just
is
can't even
weird.
control ourselves. It's like
this is end of the show banter.
We got Cosper.
I will say, Mark, I do appreciate that the product, when it was initially built, a lot of WordPress products nowadays are integrating some sort of SaaS. They want to tie you in to the monthly recurring revenue of some sort of SaaS, something like that. Yeah, handcuff you basically to a service that you have to use. Your decision, I'm sure, would have been a whole hell of a lot different if there was some sort of SaaS involved where you couldn't just open source it. And it's like, oh, now we have to open source the server part of it so you can run this whole thing. Like, I gotta say,
from a software standpoint, like a functional software standpoint.
I really have to like reinforce, unless there's a product that absolutely needs some sort of SaaS service, like this is a good reinforcement that you shouldn't really rely on a bunch of plugins on your site that are tied to some third-party SaaS service. Because now you've open sourced this, it still works. It's still just fine. Like, thank you.
In this case, as opposed to in another case where it would not.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that.
I mean, write up a use case or something, or like write.
Well, I gotta tell you. Okay, I'm gonna, say you mentioned you like my transparency. I'm gonna be extremely transparent here.
Bring it.
This is the truth of the matter. When we decided to sunset, we were hoping that it would just sunset.
And no one would notice.
And well, not
And
that
then I
no
come
one
knocking
would,
on the door. Hi.
Not that no one would notice. Obviously, we wanted our customers to notice, but the idea of, we sunsetted it. Next day, WP Tavern has an article out about it, and I'm like, well, I guess this isn't going away quietly. But the reality is, and then Jason hits me up and says, "Hey, you want to be on WP Watercooler?" Well, no, the answer is I really don't. I want to,
but now we have 1 minute left in the show.
No, I mean, it's not. No, I love you guys. It's not against you. It's just this is a topic that is, it was really a hard decision to make, and I have to say, it was emotional, and it was this, man, we're letting our customers down kind of decision, and so when things like that happen, yeah, you want to take the postmortem and say, okay, what was good about this, what was bad, and all that. Of course, we're going to do all that, but the reality is, too soon. What?
No, too soon to postmortem. Like,
well, it's too soon to postmortem because obviously we're still talking about it. And
Mark,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I didn't mean to cut you off. I hear everything you're saying. I know you guys struggle with the decision. Everything you're saying is true, but you lived your values. And so I don't think
we're excited about it.
Yeah,
all of us are like stoked on what you did.
Yeah,
like, this was like the right way.
Yeah. But that's the other thing is we think that's the right way, but we don't know.
We're telling you it's the right way
until after you do it. Yeah.
Steve, I honestly.
And the four of us are the authority within this space. So.
Well, but I will tell you that by and large, the feedback, in fact, not just by and large, we have not gotten any negative feedback yet. Although now that I've said that, I'm sure someone will feel the need to, share their feelings.
Well, they just want to keep the balance,
Yeah. Well, the balance is important.
But this is the thing, like, you did this hard, you did a hard thing, but also you made a decision that was customer focused. You thought about your values, you thought about your customers, you thought about your business. And it shows really that this wasn't just a selfish decision. This wasn't just made in a vacuum of your world and not even of just like your paying customers. This was a decision that really benefited all of us for what it was. So I think this is a great example of how to do it right and how to do it
100%
in a community-centric way.
Okay.
Totally agree.
I have an idea for my next WordCamp US talk. There you
Oh, yes. This
is perfect.
Be amazing. Yeah, do it because I want to see it.
go. Okay.
I want to say thank you very much for hanging out with us, Mark. We really appreciate it. Steve has a tea time he has to get to, and we got to make sure that he gets there in time.
Every week.
He's just mad.
Talk to y'all later. You have a good one.
You need to invite him.
The one time I actually have a tea.
Oh, poor Steve. Cut him off as well.
Wait, we have an outro?
Oh.
Yeah, we have an outro. So go
I'm
to
Shay Reed.
WPwatercooler.com. Subscribe to this content and we really appreciate it. We're an audio podcast as well as a video on YouTube,
WPwatercooler
and Twitch. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
YouTube
Bye.